Welcome, welcome, welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Earnest James, aka Friends and Fatherless Daughters on Instagram. And I believe that everyone can live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, my mission is to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thank you all for joining us on this new episode. We are on episode number 7. And today I have a guest. I have a friend of mine, newly friend of mine that is here. I'll let him introduce himself. Mr. Josh Ashford, how you doing?
Bro, man, I'm fantastic, man. I'm absolutely amazing. Yeah, that's it. I like that little intro, man. That's kind of saucy.
Yeah,
That's that sauce.
I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to do it. And and you know what? First of all, let me start off by saying thank you, first of all, for being on the podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you, second of all, for allowing me to be on your podcast and even for giving me the words of inspiration when we actually did
Mm.
meet to tell me to go ahead and do it. You know what I'm
Bro,
saying? So I definitely appreciate
that
that.
episode, your episode was one of our highest watched and listened to episodes. Like we was running it up on numbers with you, bro. So I appreciate you, man. Real talk.
Oh, definitely. I appreciate the opportunity, man. And like I said, and it's funny because I was getting into public speaking, and that was the route I was going. But it's kind of crazy because it's like, okay, with public speaking, like, yeah, you can speak, but then you got to wait for the opportunity, And I know you follow ET just
Nah,
as
you
much
don't
as
wait
I
for no
do.
opportunity, man. You create the opportunity.
Right, and exactly. So when you was like, you know what, you should do the podcast, and I'm like,
Yeah.
build my own table. You know what I'm saying? And so I've had a good response. You know what I'm saying? I've just started recording, but I got a nice lineup. Kicking off, and definitely wanted you to be on there. And you almost made the top 5. The only reason you didn't, because the first 3 was me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man,
So,
no, I
but
saw you had, bro, that first episode, man. You had numbers on there. I was like, oh,
yeah,
I
I'm doing a
said,
little bit.
I said, he running it up. He got a whole squad out there. Oh
Yeah,
man, that's
man,
awesome.
I'm trying.
But
I'm trying.
yeah, man, you really do have to create your own table, especially in this environment. And here's the reason, man. You don't you don't want to sit there and wait for somebody else to come feed you. Like
Right,
you your people know what do they say? My sheep know my voice. You know what I mean? So like the
right.
people that you are encountering and helping and things like that, they already know who you are. So they just waiting for you to put out some fire stuff. And then once you start going, more help will come. So you know what I
Right.
mean? Like we're on, saying you're on episode 7. I think we just did episode 47. We do one episode every week, and so we're coming up on a year. Man.
All right.
And
Right.
it's crazy that the traction that we're starting to get by just being consistent, putting out good content, and just showing up, bro. Like if you just keep showing up, people are gonna keep hearing about what you got, man. And the sky's the limit, and you have a amazing message, and you really out here trying to help people. So it might not take you that long to get rolling.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So speaking of podcasts, so you got the Dads on Purpose podcast. So
Yeah,
how did that come about for you to
yeah,
start that? What gave you the idea to start that?
man. So it's crazy how that works. It's like I I forget who has the quote, but it goes success loves speed. And so all that
Hmm.
means is like, yo, don't drag your feet. Like don't sit around and wait and take a long time. And what happened with me was what I'm saying, you mentioned ET. I was in his Breathe University group, and then so was the homie Kev. So he was in that group too, and we kind of just was like, yo, like who's in Dallas in here, who's trying to link up, woo woo woo. And we linked up, and he's probably about 40 minutes away from me, and we met halfway, and we met at lunch, and we just hit it off like we were best friends. We both went to the same college. We were just probably like 4 years apart. And we're from the same background, and we were just like, yo, like bro, like let's just do this. Like we both talk to fathers he deals more with teen fathers. Me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the more of the side of adult fathers, quote unquote, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
and it was just a natural synergy, man. And we feed off of each other, like we need each other, and it just was like, yo, like this works. You know what I mean? And so we did one episode. Our first episode is it's so trash, man. Like I refuse to go back and even watch. Like I'll look at it on YouTube and I'll be like, man, I was like, I really should see what we were talking about. And I'm like, bro, that episode is so trash. But that's where we started from.
Right, right.
And now we're going, man, and we have, I mean, we're booked for the entire month of October, 2 shows a week that we record. And praise God, we're not stopping. So that's just
Right.
how it happened, man. We linked up and I was like, yo, like we got synergy. We both talking to the same people. Like, let's just do this. That same week we recorded our first episode. And again, it goes back to success, love, speed. And so it was just like, yo, like let's rock and roll, man.
That's cool because that was gonna be my second question, which was where did you meet Kev at? How did
Yeah,
y'all end up linking up?
yeah,
So
man. That's so crazy though, because like some of my closest friends, it's crazy that we were in the same environment for so long, but didn't know each other. So
right.
my best friend, he's a coach at Little Elm High School, wide receivers coach out here in Texas. And I met him at a barber shop and we were just walking down the street together. We were sitting next to each other for 2 hours, didn't say nothing to each other. And then we finally just started talking, and that's my best friend. And so Kev, so to go back to the story to link it up, my best friend, we're both from the same area in LA, but we were out in Texas when we met. He
Mhm.
went to college with my sister. Everybody I played little league football with, he knows. And so it's like, yo, like that's crazy. Like we were in the same environment for so long, didn't know each other till we got out here. The same thing with KB. We both went to UNT. We were both in that same space, both in same, ET programs. Like we're in the same space. And
Right,
it's just
right,
like, oh, okay, like, okay, we should know each other. So
right,
yeah,
right.
that's how I met KB, man. And it's good. It's good.
That's cool, man. And that just shows the power of networking, number one, but then the power of ET. Because even with
Mm,
us, I think that's how we
mhm.
kind of ran into each other. At least me coming across you guys' podcast, and then some of the other programs that they have. Me and you are in. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah,
that's cool. And when you talk to Kel, tell him I sent him an invite. He still ain't got back with me.
bro. Listen,
He got to get on the show.
bro. Listen. I promise you, like, and I say this with all love, like, Kev is trash. Like, in the aspect of like communication and things like that,
hmm
like Kev is trash. But I know that, and that's just how he is. Like that's not what he does. Like if
Right,
you
right,
get Kev on the show and you like, hey, I want to talk, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's go. He will talk to you for hours if you get him on the show. But like setting it up and like and no shade, no shade. Like
right,
for the most part, I set up most of our guests. But I mean, Kev set up some bangers for us though, like some absolute bangers. But for the most part, I set him up because that's not Kev. And
right,
so
right.
I don't know. Did you mess him on Facebook or Instagram?
On Instagram, I ain't even his friend on Facebook. I don't think.
Well, he don't really be answering. Why don't you got to just text him, bro? Like hit me up after this, bro. I'll give you his number. I
Okay,
won't do that
cool,
because I don't
cool.
give people's numbers out. So
Right. Well,
I'm
hey,
gonna
well,
just
you talk
message
to him
y'all. I'm
every
gonna just
week.
text Kev and I'm gonna tell him,
You
hey,
you talk to him every week. Just tell him I said I'm waiting for him to hit me back. You know what
hey,
I mean? That's
no,
all.
I got you, man. I got you.
but speaking of Kev, and one of the things that we all have in common, if I'm not mistaken, is that we're all girl dads, right? Am
Yes.
I right on that?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you're a new girl dad because
Yeah,
I think
bro.
your daughter's 2 or 3, right?
Yeah, so I have two.
Oh,
So I
okay.
have a 1 year old, and then the other one she'll be 3 in November. So yeah, 3 going on like 13, bro. Like
Yeah, my baby, I still call her my baby, but my baby just
Mhm.
made 18 this year,
I was
so
about to say she just
she ain't.
graduated. She graduated. That's what you was
Yeah,
down
she's
here in
not.
Texas for.
Yeah, yeah. And I came down there when we linked up, and that's why I was thinking about that too, because I was like, if I had knew Kev was in the
Yeah.
area, I would have reached out to him too. But
Kev got a day job though. So yeah, Kev got a day job. I don't my job, I'm super flexible. So, going back to the dad thing, like my daughter's dropping them off at school. Praise God, I could do that. My wife she's taking a promotion, and so um we go to gymnastics class on Mondays at 3:30, and she's like, "Yo, I'm not gonna be able to make them," and I'm like, "Yo, we good. Like I don't have a schedule." But people like Kev and what I'm saying, like y'all got real jobs, y'all got places to be. I take naps.
right. Yeah, I got to be up at 4 in the morning, tomorrow. So I'm like, all right,
Like
you know,
on purpose, or that's what time you got to get ready for work.
that's what time I got to get up, man.
Yeah, you need to find a new
That's
job,
what time
bro.
I get up.
You-
Hey, that's why I'm doing this. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, this is gonna be my new job. You know what I mean?
Not with
But
that kind of talk, not with that. Hopefully, but we don't talk that, man. We speak things into existence.
hey, and here
Mhm.
we are, right? You spoke it to me, and it took me a couple months to get it, but we here. You know what I'm
What took
saying?
you so long? That's
Within the
what the
same
people want to know.
year.
This ain't my show, but I'm gonna hijack it for a second. What took you so long to start your show?
You know what? I didn't know nothing about it, so
Mm,
I had to learn. Because really, to be honest, when I did the podcast with you guys, I
yeah.
think that was the second or third podcast that I was on this year. So I've been
Okay.
probably on about five or six, but
Okay.
that all started this year. And like some young lady just reached out to me out the blue, was like, "Do you want to be on my podcast?" And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And that was the first one. And then after that, it was a couple of them,
Yeah.
including you guys. So it was all really still brand new to me. Even the whole concept. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
however that work. Because I think the first one I did was just audio. It wasn't
Mhm.
even video. And then the
Okay.
ones after that had video. So after we talked, and you planted that seed, and I was like, okay, but then I had to find out what it was all about, because I didn't know nothing about it. So I think I'm
Yeah.
doing good, just getting started. Got a little traction, so I'm doing all right.
Man,
So
you are doing absolutely amazing, bro. And so here's the thing, like it's by any means, it's not bad at all. But as you go, you'll start editing things and start switching it up and start finding your style and like what works for you. Like, I mean, I don't know, whatever you want to do. I don't know if the background and the scrolling and all that, like if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But as you go, you'll be like, okay, let me tweak this a little bit. Okay, let me edit this a little bit. And so, as you go, you'll start to see what you want your show to look like, bro. And man, you're on your way. And the the dad community, the daughters community, like they got a lot coming to them. So yeah, just keep rolling, bro. I'm
I
so
appreciate
thirsty,
it.
man. I don't know
Appreciate
why. Like I usually don't drink this
it.
much water this late.
Right, that's probably why, cause it's late. Cause I had you clear your throat. I'm clearing my throat on this side too. It
Hey,
must be
look, bro,
time
this is
for
my
both of us to
bedtime,
go to bed. Right, that's what I'm gonna say. It must be time for both of us to go to bed. So
right?
okay, so we're gonna try to speed this up a little bit. So we're talking about being a girl dad, right?
Mhm.
So how was that experience for you, and how do you think that you know uh, being a girl dad has changed you for the better? Because I'm
Yeah,
sure it's for the better.
yeah, yeah, man. It's like as far like how was that experience? I don't have nothing else to compare it to. So I mean, in that regard, like it, it's amazing. Like it's awesome. Like it's crazy watching someone like literally grow before your eyes and like you see them like start to pick up on things and start to learn things and like become like a little human, and then they get a little bit older and it's like okay, like you almost like a full human, like you know what I mean. Like my daughter, she was just like she's talking about stethoscopes and things like that. And I'm like, how do you know what a stethoscope is? And she's like, oh, like, we learned it at school. And I'm like, what are y'all teaching? But no, I mean, and so you see them becoming like a whole person, and it's crazy. It's mind blowing. And I have 16 nieces, and obviously I've never gotten to experience this day in and day out. And so now it's just like kind of putting it all together, and you kind of see who they are. And then, you look at, their parents and things like that. And so you start to understand, for better or for worse, how they got to where they are. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so in that regard, it is an experience. Just I don't know the right word, but it's just an experience. And how has it changed me? Like, bro, I my whole thing is, helping my daughters not to find somebody like me when I was younger. That's really what it is. Like, putting them on game, and not necessarily like I wasn't a horrible dude, but I was a manipulator, and I still can be a manipulator if I want to. I just choose not to anymore. I'm
Right.
really good at finding people's buttons and getting what I want, and I know that. But having daughters and having a wife and things like, all of that. It's just like, yo, like, that's not who I want to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
that's not who I want them to run into. So why am I going to represent that at home? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so I really try to set the example of what I want them to see, and what I want not like what I want them to be around. So that's
Right.
my biggest thing, man, is really just like, yeah, living the example. And it's hard, bro. Like, every day, because you be like, I mean, saying like, your daughter, she grown. And so, like, and although, you didn't get to like be there the whole time, like, you was there, you know what I mean? And
Right.
so
Right.
you know what that's like. And yeah, so that's really where how it's changed me, man. Just wanting to be, just to live the example and not just talk about it. Like, yeah, that's the right words. Yeah.
Right.
Check
So
mark.
two things two things that you said that I picked up on. One, when you mentioned about watching them grow up right in front of you,
Mhm.
and like my granddaughter, because I have two granddaughters now, and so my oldest granddaughter, when she was born, she was with us in our house for maybe the first almost year. They
Mm.
lived with
Mhm.
us. And I had her most of the time because, she used to cry and they could never put her to sleep. And, I'm a girl dad, so I got a thing with,
Hey.
with little girls. So I'm like, hey, bring her to me. And then, they'll come in the room like, and she said, well, no, she knocked out. I didn't put her to sleep.
Big
And
sleep.
so now, she's a big girl. She's playing t-ball and everything. So it's like you said, you get to
Mhm.
watch them grow up and become this, person on their own.
Mhm.
And so that was one thing that I definitely picked up. And then another thing that you just said, which is it's crazy that you said that because my first guest, who named Majana, and she's a fatherless daughter who works with fathers and
Okay.
reconnecting with their kids,
Okay.
right? So after they've been, out of the
Yeah.
way for a while, they reconnect with their kids. And one of the things that she talked about, and she wrote a book, an ebook, and I got it, very good book. And one of the things she talked about, and I had her dwell on, was she made this statement of what kind of father will you be? Right?
Mm.
And so we talked about being that example and,
Yeah.
not just who you want to be to your daughter, but who you
Mhm.
want to be in front of your daughter, right?
Yeah.
So who do you want to be? How does she, see you interact with other people? How do you treat
Mhm.
the waiter? How do you treat the garbage man? How do you treat the mailman or,
Yeah.
somebody who you feel like you don't need? How do you treat the homeless man? So it's like not only addressing what I'm saying, who you are as being a good dad to her, but then just who you are as just being a good man, to your fellow men and fellow people that's around you. So I'm glad that you touched on that, that's even working on you. Because
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's just with little girls, and especially with dads, they just have their way of, molding you into
Man.
a
And
whole
well, and
different
it's
person.
it's it's crazy because I think it's harder these days because
Hmm.
the way that our families are set up, and when I say our, I'm specifically talking about the African American household, um,
Hmm.
is changing, and so there's like this for those of us that are working on middle to upper class and things like that. I see there's just like so much more pressure on us externally too and
Hmm.
internally, and it's like the the mental health part of it is I think it's starting to trigger more. And so you really got to watch like how you deal with all that. You know what I mean? Like how are you dealing with
Right.
stress, and are you taking that out on your kids? And you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I think back
Right.
in the day, you know what I'm saying, part of uh our stress relievers, honestly, like low key, was whooping our kids or yelling at our kids. And so now, we're more conscious of that these days, and we try to steer away from that, which we should. And so it's like,
Right.
okay, well, now that that's gone, like how are you dealing with this added pressure too, and then still not be able to get that quote unquote release? And so yeah, yeah, it ain't easy.
Yeah. Right, right. Yeah. So, and that's why, another thing why I really appreciate you guys' podcast, because it's dads on there, and there's so many different aspects that each father brings a different, outlook on life, and a different viewpoint.
Yeah,
So it's definitely helping us, even just to have a conversation. You know what I mean? And so, speaking of podcasts, y'all had a recent guest. I don't know his name. I think it was the barber, the guy that was the
yeah,
barber.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, so y'all had. So I listened to that one recently, and there's two things that I picked up, and I want you to speak on that, and then I'm gonna I'm gonna let we're gonna shut it down, call it a night. So
Mhm.
he was saying some different things, and then you spoke after he spoke and pointed out two things that he said that you felt strongly about. So I just want you to address those same two things
I
here,
hope you're gonna
and
bring them
one
up
of
because I
them.
don't remember.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got you. I got you. So one of them you brought up was always be learning, right? And you
Okay.
spoke on that.
Mhm.
So give us a little bit on that.
Yeah, I don't remember the full context of it. So I need a little bit more context because what I'm saying. What was I talking about when I
Well,
said always be learning?
he was talking about how it was two things. So the two things that you brought up was always be learning
Mhm.
and put yourself on, right? And he was saying how
Mm.
he
Got you.
was a
I know.
barber,
Okay.
and
I
then
remember.
go
Yeah,
ahead. You can
yeah,
take it from
yeah.
there.
So for him, he's a barber. He's a black barber, but he's a black barber that learned to do women's hair as well. And so for him, he wasn't, what I'm saying, he wasn't limiting himself to just this one lane. And so I think, in not just in our culture, but in our lives, man, you make more money by the more value you add. Whether that's a
Hmm.
job or whether that's investments, whether that's in relationships. I'm not saying like relationships are equated to money, but you're going to have a stronger relationship with someone the more value you're adding. And so the more ways you can add value. So for him, hey, I can cut your hair and I can also do your wife's hair too. So then, what I'm saying, you guys can both have a date together and you guys can better bond together and things like that. Like the more the more you're learning, the more you're advancing yourself and not just staying stagnant. The more beneficial to yourself you become and to
Right,
everybody else around you. Because I'm a big believer in that. We don't learn things or we don't go through things only for ourself. Like, to expand on that a little bit, what I'm saying? Like I might go through a really, really bad breakup, not anymore because I'm married, but what I'm saying, back in the day, I might have went through a really, really bad breakup that was really, really rough and almost came to like killing myself, but I didn't. But wasn't necessarily for me. That was for the college kid that now I'm mentoring, and he's going through that, and and like, yo, bro, like I understand what you're going through. Like here,
right,
and when I say that because that's actually happened. Like I've talked to somebody and they had tried to kill themselves and they felt like nobody understood and nothing like that. And I was just talking to him like on a Tuesday, just like on a whim, like wasn't nothing deep. And he, we had a relationship and he kind of can't let that come out. And we started talking about that. I was like, bro, like I get it. Like, and then I started expounding on like, how I thought about killing myself when I was a kid. And he was just like, yo, that's deep. And we already had a relationship. And so that just took it farther. Well, now he can find solace in the fact that he's still here and like he has a purpose. And so now he can go share that message too. So, the whole purpose of that was, always be learning, always be willing to gather new knowledge. Like, I went to an event yesterday that had nothing to do with my job only because I wanted to gain information that it might help somebody else down the road. That's just, I'm always learning. And then always put yourself on. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, don't nobody care about what you're doing. Like, I love the podcast. Nobody cares. Like, it's on you to promote it and put it out there. You could have this great idea, but nobody else is going to put you on like you're going to put yourself on. And at the end of the day, people are human. People got other things to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are busy. And so it's on you if you want something to put yourself on. And as you put yourself on, other people will come and help you out. Like, that's just the way it works. Like, I'm not going to help you if I don't see that you're committed in yourself. You know what I mean? Like, somebody come up to me and like, man, Josh, oh, my marriage sucks and da 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 da. Okay, well, are you doing the work? Like, are you guys talking about therapy? Have you been having conversations with your wife and things like that? Nah, I ain't doing nothing like that. Okay, take care. But when you come to me like, we've been trying this. This is what's going on. She said this. I didn't react like that way. Okay, bro, let's talk about it. Yo, let's chop it up. Like, put yourself on, and other people will come help you eventually.
Right. And with that being said, again, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. But I definitely want to thank you because even with me starting with the Friends of Fatherless Daughters, that was something I was just like, you know what, let me just start it and
Yeah.
put my information out there, and that led to eventually me being on you guys' podcast and us meeting up, in person and
Yep.
having that conversation, which in turn, led us here,
Ooh,
So you never know how it all works out and how it's all connected,
right.
but you just, once you start your journey and start doing the work, like you said, people will see what you're doing and like
Yeah.
it's always easier when you run out of gas or you stuck on the side of the road and somebody see you pushing the car, you are more able to get people to come out and help you push. But if you're just sitting in the
Mm.
car with the blinkers on, people gonna drive right past you. You know
With
what
your
I'm
thumb up
saying?
on your phone on Instagram scrolling. Oh, they good. They
Right,
got help
right.
coming.
Yeah, they got AAA. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so
Hey, gold member
definitely,
AAA.
right. So I know it's late. So again, I just want to thank you, definitely, Mr. Ashford, for taking out the time and being on the podcast, gracing us with with your presence. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely appreciate you again because the words that you spoke to me, to even start it, to even plant the seed,
Yeah.
to start this podcast. And since I've started, I've had a good response to it. And definitely, again, like I definitely wanted you to be one of my first guests. So I appreciate you. So
Hey, I'm
on
gonna
that
let Kev
note,
know, bro. I'm gonna let him. I'll text him right now. But well,
right,
after we get
right.
off.
Yeah, I think yeah. Okay. Well, again, I thank you. I thank you, listeners, for tuning in with us. Again, my name is Ernest James. This is the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, and my mission is to help you heal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problems, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. And so I thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, we